I want to share with you another insight from another Labor luminary. This time it's Andrew Leigh, Assistant Treasurer. This bloke is Canberra based and he used to be a Professor of Economics at the Australian National University, no less. So what did he decide to pontificate on today, do you think? Tariffs? Global trade? The cost of living? Energy policy and its impact on our trade-exposed industries? Electricity costs for small business? No. He decided to have a kind of stilted rant against that looked at which government-supplied house Peter Dutton might choose to call home if he wins the election.
When he became Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese made clear that he, Jody and Toto would live in the nation's capital. Peter Dutton's more interested in how the job serves him than in how he can serve the Australian people. Anthony Albanese chooses to live in the nation's capital because he knows that's how he can best serve all Australians.
Toto. He even mentioned Toto. Now, Albo lives in the lodge and he hangs out when he feels like a Kirribilli. And Dutton, if he wins, might flip that around, you know, like John Howard did and others. And that's what troubles the mind, apparently, of the Assistant Treasurer of this nation, Professor Leigh. Have a listen to how he wraps it up.
Only Labor respects Australia's institutions. Only Labor will put Australians first.
Respect for Australia's institutions? The Lodge? The Lodge is an Australian institution now and Kirribilli isn't? Are these freaks for real? How about respect for our cost of living? How about respect for electricity prices? How about respect for your political promises or respect for fiscal discipline or future generations? How about you find some respect for Australian voters and spend your time working for them rather than making funny little video clips about some house that you drive past every day in your Canberra bubble? Let's bring in Tim Blair, who joins me on the desk here in Tim Blair out in Wimmera, out in the west of Victoria, and Mark Nicholson. That's the one. Yes. That's the one's on the desk here with me in Melbourne. Good to see you guys. Can you believe this Andrew Leigh guy? He's a Professor of Economics, but he's talking about Toto and the Lodge.
I know, mate. It's ridiculous. It's what I actually love about this campaign so far is that I feel like they've just put the wind in the sails of the Labor Party, which has just made them arrogant and more confident than ever, which has just made them swing and go nuts and say dumb stuff like this.
They are cocky, aren't they?
It's very clear. Wherever Peter Dutton lives, all I know is right now he lives rent-free in every Labor minister's head. That's where he's living. Rent-free in his head, Tim. You'd concur with that, no doubt.
Well, it's actually a kind of a scary idea. I mean, I've had many very pleasant dealings with Andrew Leigh. You know, he's a personable chap when you're dealing with him via email and so on. But I don't think he's the right person to make videos because he kind of looks like he's from a British horror movie in the 1950s. He's got that kind of, you know, that gaunt kind of Dr. Crippen look about him, which doesn't help his message any. But yeah, the Canberra bubble is well served by the likes of those folk, and I don't think Peter Dutton would have lost a single vote over this whole issue.
No, well, I think maybe the odd Canberra vote, but they're not the ones he's chasing just at the moment. Now, in breaking news this afternoon, Albo had a bit of a tumble off the stage. Have a look at this.
Photos with everyone, okay?
Now, the Prime Minister is okay, which is good, but you wouldn't normally raise this, Tim. But the thing is, you'll remember, of course, when John Howard fell off a stage in the 2007 election campaign, and that was like leading the television news bulletins, the campaign stumble, it's all over for Howard. So I suppose that's what will be dominating the news tonight for Albo.
Or possibly not. I mean, I think in 2007 when John Howard fell, it was used as a visual metaphor for how his campaign was going, how his prime ministership was concluding, and so on. And it's a fairly irresistible metaphor if you want to go with that. But I think the thing that's that gets me about things like this when they happen to as we see the PM go down there. Look at all the flash bulbs. The last thing you hear as a prime minister as you're heading towards the floor is motor drives, and yeah, it's got to be a bit embarrassing, obviously embarrassing as well as potentially hurtful. And yeah, you good on him in bouncing back to his feet, and he does the hands up. Good luck to Albo on that front. He can at least live to walk again.
Look, straight away people were going all this Biden comparisons and whatever, Mark, which is just nonsensical. The poor bloke slipped off. Although I do believe he said on radio that I didn't fall. I managed to just lose my footing on one leg or whatever. Mate, fess up, you fell.
He's lying again. This is it.
Why would you lie about that?
That's the playbook for Albanese, is just deny. And at the same time, I don't know if you noticed, he just grabbed the bloke trying to pull him down with him. And when he was falling, that's all he's doing. He's just taking anyone with him.
He's taking. Now, very good. Now, I've got to point out tonight, I normally have my Adelaide Crows mug on set. I have now got a Hawthorn mug tonight. Charlie here in the Melbourne Bureau, he said, you won't have your Crows mug tonight. And he gave me a package with a mug. I unwrapped it, excitedly thinking it's going to be a Crows mug. Good joke, Charlie, the Hawthorn supporter. It's a Hawthorn mug, but I think it's lovely. I know Rita Panahi would love to use this mug after I leave. There are plenty of Hawthorn supporters around. But I didn't know this bloke was a Hawthorn supporter. Have a look.
What have you got tonight?
We got the Pies.
Pies. Oh,
We've beaten them once in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
When Charlie Kerr got all those free kicks.
Yes. I'm happy because we're a happy team at Hawthorn.
The happy team at Hawthorn. Albo's a Hawthorn man. The bloke for the Rabbitohs. I mean, that's a bit try-hard, isn't it?
No, I didn't know that. I had no idea. I can't really comment on football, mate. I'm a North Melbourne supporter. I just got to keep my mouth shut. When it comes to footy, I just need to shut up. That's all I need to do.
Well, Tim, I think that instead of somebody asking him what the unemployment rate in this campaign is, someone should ask him to name the Hawthorn half-forward line, because I'm tipping he wouldn't get one of them.
Well, he hasn't. It's a pretty good effort to remember a line from the song. So, maybe he is a slightly more AFL aware than we would have suspected. Although, why pick Hawthorn? Seriously, there's got to be there's other better options. Even my option, which is to follow none of them, I will put in front of Hawthorn at the moment.
Yeah, Tim, famously a former Collingwood supporter. There's not many of those. There's about as many former Collingwood supporters as there are former Al-Qaeda members, but he is one. Let's go to the protesters today. Labor now starting to get some of their own with climate nutters barging in on all their campaign events. Have a look at this at Maitland.
3 new coal and gas companies. This is my future on the line. I want a safe place to raise my children, and you're putting their health and well-being at risk by improving new coal and mine expansion program.
It has to stop. Mr. Albanese.
Please this way. Please come this way. Thank you.
The climate crisis is the greatest health threat to the future of Australia.
Yeah, you hate to give these people publicity, Mark, but the point is Labor and its acolytes love to get these people to turn up at coalition events. Now they're turning up at Labor events. Well, get a taste of your own medicine and let that take away from whatever government spending you're trying to flog on that particular day.
Yeah, 100%. I guarantee what's going to happen now is we're going to start seeing some more measures put in place to try and stop these protesters that they're happening at Labor press conferences. I guarantee it. We're already seeing him start to shut down actual journalists' questions. So he's going to shut down protesters soon as well. But I think it's just indicative of, I don't understand how this thing's so close. I honestly don't understand how it's so close. These are the people that are supposedly backing Labor. I thought that he'd lost all of these people.
It's such a. We'll talk about that over the next few weeks. But according to the polls, it's very close. But it's hard to imagine it. The thing about Maitland, Tim, as you'd be well aware, though, protesting against fossil fuels in Maitland wouldn't exist. There's a town of 100,000 people, a lovely hospital, all sorts of facilities, jobs, employment, industry, all based on fossil fuels.
Exactly, and also it's something that we ought to think about in terms of the two-party preferred voting system we have. Those two protesters' votes will get back to Labor, almost certainly, via the two-party preferred. So, they might have people yelling at them at the moment, but they'll scoop up those votes in the end because of a two-party system, or a party preferred system that really it's kind of creepy and wrong when you look at it like that. These people oppose the government; they're going to end up voting for them.
Yeah, I've just got to show you something that Albo's been doing all week, because I find this a little bit weird. There's something he's been flashing around a bit. Have a look.
What it represents is a card that says, if I get sick, if I need health care, I'll get it. They hated the idea that this little card here would be able to give the same health care to a billionaire that it gives to an invalid pensioner. All that people need is this little bit of green and gold plastic.
So, Mark, if he loses, does he get a gig selling Amex cards?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he looks pretty comfy doing it, doesn't he? Yeah, he looks pretty comfy. I don't know. What's the tactic here? Is it just like, look at me, I'm one of you. I also have a Medicare card. I don't know what he's doing. It's like he's using it like it's a hostage.
We've all had him for decades through Labor and coalition governments, but now he's
a multi-millionaire. Let's not forget that. He's a multi-millionaire who doesn't actually need Medicare, yet he's using it as a hostage, and he's got tape over its mouth so you can't read the numbers, all that sort of stuff. I don't understand the tactic here at all.
Yeah. When you look at your Medicare card, Tim, and put it to good use, do you think vote Labor?
No. It's kind of hilarious that he throws billionaires in there. Like, I think he's just reminded everyone that obviously Medicare should be indexed, and that beyond a certain wage level, you shouldn't be depending on it, because it just makes it more expensive and more cumbersome for everybody. So, I'm not sure that he's waving around the little green and gold plastic card. Again, as Mark says, like a hostage, is all that wise a move politically.
Great to talk to you, Tim and Mark, both in your home state this time around. We'll catch up with you next week.